Welcome back, everybody. This is your boy Cat Dad, and we are recording on a brand new computer finally. Hopefully, that 2015 MacBook Pro that I've been recording on is a thing of the past. Now we have some more clarity for our little pixels. Today, I'm going to cover something that has been a hot topic in the NFT space recently, and it's surrounding the CCO and licensure of different NFT products. Ponderware introduced a MoonCat license. This had to be probably 3 or 4 months ago at this point, allowing commercial and personal use of your specific MoonCat. I also later will add some clarification that I received from Ponderware themselves about some of the specific points in the MoonCat license. I'm going to compare a little bit to some of the things that are happening, and we can cover this. And just want to say none of this is financial advice or legal advice at this point. I'm just a guy who loves the cats and tries to learn along the way just with everybody. So CCO, first, we should figure out what this is. Creative Commons license. This has been something that people continually talk about, but I think most of us aren't even really sure what exactly it is. So here it is, Wikipedia. Creative Commons license is one of several public copyright licenses to enable the free distribution of an otherwise copyrighted work. Putting it simply, it just allows you, or it grants you access from whoever created the project or art or TV show, whatever it may be. They're giving the new owner of that specific item or service the ability to profit off of whatever it is. For example, historically with art, maybe Vincent van Gogh, even though he's dead. For example, if he was still alive and he sold you the painting, Vincent van Gogh would only be the person who could still profit off the likeness of that painting, even though you owned the painting itself. Crypto and NFT specifically has kind of shifted the paradigm where a bunch of projects have allowed the owners of the specific NFT to commercialize that specific NFT token or cryptocurrency itself. So there's been a lot of confusion. People are going back and forth between the traditional world and this new art digital world on the blockchain. What's applicable? What are the new things that we can do? Creative Commons were released in 2002. So still a relatively new idea even to begin with. 5 different versions. Again, I'm not going to go through completely all of this because I'm not an expert, but you can see the origins, and on Wikipedia, there's some of the stuff. So why do I specifically bring this up? Because recently CryptoPunks has been facing some social blowback over NFT copyright licenses. I'll save you some of the reading, but basically what Larva Labs did is they put a cap on the CCO because they signed a deal recently with a film studio house somewhere, I believe it was in LA, where they put a cap of $100,000 of commercial use. So basically, if I own this Alien Punk and I made a bunch of Alien Punk shirts, essentially the license limits me to 100K in profit, and then anything over that, Larva Labs would be owed a specific amount of money. Granted, this commercial, I guess you could say this limit on this commercial use hasn't been taken to court. I would assume probably at some point in the future, there will be some sort of licensure court case that can set some precedents on this. But basically, see, the NFT license offers a more practical middle ground. We hope the NFT license provides a framework for blockchain developers, much like the App Store did in the early days. So Punk 4156, for those who don't know, he owned what was considered one of the rarest crypto punks that existed. It was an ape, a varying ape, and he ended up Dutch auctioning his ape, starting at 4,000 ETH and went all the way down to 2,500 because he doesn't believe that in the CCO. So he's also the founder of NounsDAO. And so he cites it here, specifically with toads. Sorry, I keep clicking on that. So dropping confidence, and this is why CryptoPunks have begun to falter. Although, to be fair, I haven't really seen anybody commercializing their punk that's netted them over 100K in profit outside of direct sales from the marketplace. So it's a little bit overblown, TBH, in my opinion, because I haven't seen any practical use of that license in a commercialized aspect. So let's move over to the second biggest project, which is Bored Apes. They have a generous approach, which is very similar to Ponderware's as well, where they grant IP rights to whoever owns that specific ape itself. So it's somewhere in here with Yuga Labs. So the big CCO projects: CryptoToads, NounsDAO, Blitmap. So no rights reserved to anyone. So basically anyone can profit off of anything, at least, which is, I guess, the most decentralized aspect that you could go. So no rights reserved to anyone. So any single person could take any other toad and commercialize it. Bored Apes offers a little bit limited set rights where only the holder of the ape can profit off of the art and make derivatives. And this is very similar to Pondware as well, and we'll cover that here in a second. So most decentralized, and then you go this limited one, and then you take Larva Labs, and then they go even a little bit more limited, where only the person who owns the punk can make art and derivatives, but they're limited to 100K. And then Larva Labs is owed some money, or my assumption is they put a cap on it because of right here. Oh, here it is. The company signed in the summer with the United Talent Agency to represent the punk IP. So I'm assuming they probably had some sort of deal with the talent agency where they're owed royalties off of the IP, since they're going to be creating movies and all kinds of other derivative projects itself. I think the extension of IP rights, embracing NFT ownership as a membership in the DAO. And this just goes on to talk about the different variations and licensing and a hot topic. So now we could go over to the MoonCat license itself. So last revised September 10th. I believe this was released in August or maybe even towards the end of July. So here we go with the definitions. MoonCat or MoonCats is the blockchain asset themselves. MoonCat art means any art, design, drawings, data, and content that may be associated with MoonCat Rescue and all MoonCats, including such material subject to the copyright or similar rights that is derived or based upon the MoonCat in compliance with the license. So it's a bunch of legal jargon. You have to go in and you have to define what everything exactly means so that you could go on and state later. So MoonCat Rescue is the smart contract itself. And then owning, this is very subjective. Ownership, what does ownership actually mean? With human society being thousands or hundreds of thousands of years old, I still don't think we've properly defined what ownership means. And I think that's why we see something very crazy and curious in the crypto space. So ownership means with respect to a MoonCat that you have purchased or otherwise rightfully acquired from a legitimate source. So minting, where proof of such purchase is cryptographically recorded on the Ethereum blockchain. Proof of purchase must include a 5-byte cat ID of a MoonCat and the Ethereum public key in which it belongs. A person or entity owns a public key if it can sign a transaction on the Ethereum blockchain with the current date using a private key. So basically, as long as you own the private key to the MoonCat and you can prove it cryptographically, then you therefore own the MoonCat. Pondware is the LLC, which is the dev team and in the ever-growing team that is associated with it. So we'll skip the ownership. We talked about it, more legal jargon. So the license right here, this is the most important. You may only use your licensed MoonCat art for the following purposes: for your own personal use, which could literally be pretty much anything; for your own commercial use, provided that such commercial use is explicitly permitted by the section 3 of this license, this is where we are. So subject to your continued compliance with MoonCat terms, Pondware grants you worldwide, non-exclusive, transferable, royalty-free license to use, copy, and display the MoonCats that you own. So non-exclusive, this is something that's native to Pondware and also to Bored Apes as well. So exclusive would be more, at least from my understanding, exclusive would be more like the toads and nouns, where anybody could own anything. Wait, hold on, I might have had that wrong. Pondware grants you worldwide non-exclusive. Okay, yeah, so nothing is exclusive to itself. I don't know. I might have, I'm going to define this because I asked Pondware and I'll post it here in a second. See, I even get lost a little bit in these legal jargons, but I will show you some use cases to provide it. License runs with the MoonCat. You agree that the license is specific to the MoonCat art. It's procured by generating the MoonCat on the site. So you're basically saying that the MoonCat came from the MoonCat website. Derivatives. Pondware also grants you a limited license to create derivative works of your MoonCat art, provided that Pondware retains ownership of all such derivative works. All delivered works become MoonCat art and are licensed accordingly under this license. Okay, here, this is the specific thing that I wanted to point out, and I had to get a response from Pondware for it, right? Because it says that Pondware retains ownership, but why do they retain ownership if it's non-exclusive and you have commercial use to do whatever you want? Well, there's a very specific reason to it, and it really makes sense. Although you still have access to commercialize the product that you want, Pondware has ownership over the entire brand for 1 second, but I want to cover this. Subject to your continued compliance with the terms of this license, Pondware grants you limited, worldwide, non-exclusive, transferable license copy, blah, 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 which we go over. So limited is the key word, and then non-exclusive as well. So restrictions, there are some restrictions. Attempting to trademark, acquire more IP, unless it's your specific MoonCat art. Use the MoonCat art for your MoonCats in connection with images, videos, or other forms of media that depict hatred, intolerance, and violence, cruelty, or anything else. So basically, do not use your MoonCat to create some sort of hatred. MoonCats are a family-focused project, which there is, and this I'm just stating it as is. There is a MoonCat that exists where the MoonCat was named Jews Did 9/11. The names are irrevocable or irreversible, so that's going to stay there forever. So Pondware, essentially, from my understanding, is going to try to retain or do everything they can to prevent that hatred from spreading. As a fellow Jew myself, I don't find it offensive, but I have a bunch of friends who may, and that's where you start going into different battlegrounds of hatred speech. Utilize the MoonCat art for your MoonCats for your third-party benefit, propagate and modify it. And so this just goes on and on. Endorsement, I'll let you guys read this. But the derivative works and the ownership. So I wanted to cover, I talked with, first I got a response from Paz, and then Jerfels, who is the original founder, and he takes more of the legal side. So Paz response, she said, but I will say the fact that you don't own it doesn't mean that you don't have a whole ton of freedoms. The intent of the license is to give you all the freedoms and control as possible, while still enabling Pondware to add value to the ecosystem without local encumbrances, acclimator accessories, etc. It also permits us to claw back if something goes super wrong with a MoonCat. Hence, Jews Did 9/11 is a continued yikes. And since we continue to own the underlying asset, we can and plan to sync that name. It also allows us to do things like create a poster of 25,440 MoonCats on it without asking them for permission. Isn't that handy? It does not allow us to say, decide we want to continue using Mr. Moo in a commercial enterprise. Those rights are yours. Mr. Moo is mine. So basically, the reason why they retain ownership is to make it more accessible for Pondware to market MoonCats, or else they'd have to go through every individual one. And this is probably very similar to the Bored Apes approach as well. And then I got Jerful's response because I responded and talked about CryptoPunk's IP rights limitations fiasco. I could see the interpretation of Pondware's view on this being a positive and negative thing. Jerful's response said, I think Anna Marie's description of the license is accurate. Pondware's stance is that when the MoonCat was rescued, the rescuer got a license to the image, not the image itself. This is the norm when buying art, though. If you know of any NFT projects that sell the underlying image instead of a license, I'd be interested in hearing about them. That said, the license is exclusive to the MoonCat owner and allows them to do almost whatever they want with it as long as they hold the MoonCat. The license is loosely based off the open source NFT license 2.0, but with more rights granted to the owners, like unlimited commercial rights and derivative creation. Also, in regards to ownership, all data is on-chain and cannot be modified by Pondware. We do have control over the metadata for the official wrapper, though, and we have used this to only display appropriate accessories on OpenSea. But this is just the metadata for the official wrapper. We open source the code that generates the images and metadata of all MoonCats and accessories from the chain. So anyone who wants to can generate all these images without us and even open their marketplace wherever they want things displayed. Basically saying that all of this stuff, like the accessories are on chain, so they can only censor what they can appropriate to their views and the platform that they exist on, hence OpenSea and Coinbase NFT once that is launched. But eventually there's going to be a decentralized NFT marketplace, and then Pondware has no control since it is going to be, since accessories are on chain, and the MoonCats will be fully on chain here pretty shortly. So I hope that covers a little bit of the confusion. I know I even got confused a little bit talking about it. For one example, which I wanted to show you guys, there is MoonCat Pop, right? So these are decentralized vending machines that spit out images of your cat that you customize on a can. And so let's see, this is Logan Paul's MoonCat, I believe. So as you can see, he is selling the like list of his cat, and you can go and you can buy it now. You can add it to the basket, and he is personalized, or he is profiting off of the commercial use of the cat. And as you can see here, there are these cans are still being minted. Hey, there's mine, the collector's edition. So these cans are still being minted very regularly. People are making money off of them. We're having fun experimenting and having all sorts of fun with the MoonCat license themselves. I don't think there's any harmful intent. Pondware is a team that has provided like continual utility to the community, and they want to protect the friendly, family-centric environment that MoonCats are displaying. So I'm just curious what you guys thought of this. Do you think that Pondware took the right approach to the license? Do you think there will eventually be a revision of some sort? Do you think that do you think that everything should be completely decentralized, or that there needs to be some sort of protection to take everything on course of what the original vision is, or just have complete decentralization and chaos? There's obviously no right answer, and there has been no court cases yet. But my assumption is maybe even Vincent Van Doe's Clone X fractionalization, where Nike has said that you're not allowed to fractionalize any Clone X's, and Vincent Van Doe has gone ahead and done this. So maybe that'll be the first court case to have some sort of precedent. But again, we'll see. We're all out here experimenting in crypto land. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. Let me know how you feel, and we'll see you next time.